Hi guys, I'm Sandra, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to crochet this beautiful bag. Let's get to it. Basic supplies you will need. I prepared 2 skeins of t-shirt yarn and ended up using almost 2 whole skeins. Each skein is 110 to 120 meters long. It weighs more or less 380 grams. What's the most important? It has no width differences because it's premium quality. You will need 2 D-rings / semicircles, a 6mm hook, 2 carabiners for the strap, 2 magnetic fasteners, a measuring tape, a transparent sewing thread, an upholstery needle, and a pair of scissors. We'll start working from the outside of the skein. First, we need to tie a slip knot. Holding your yarn like this, pinch it with your thumb and your middle finger. Insert the hook under the short end, rotate it this way, and with the loop on your hook, grab the working yarn, pull it through and tighten the slip knot. Now chain 27. Check if you have 27 chain stitches. If everything checks out, let's move on to the first row. We want to place a single crochet into the second / back strand of the second stitch from the hook. If you turn the work like this, you can see these back strands of the chain stitches, right? And we want to insert the hook into the back strand of the second chain stitch from the hook, right? I'm going to point this strand with my needle just to make sure that you know where to insert the hook. Okay, so place a single crochet into this strand here. Tighten your single crochet. We want to continue placing 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way across this row, so our first row is entirely made of single crochets. Insert the hook into the back strand of the next chain stitch, and here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, tighten your single crochet. So this is our first single crochet, this is our second single crochet. Let's make next single crochet into the back strand of the next chain stitch. So insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, tighten your single crochet. I would like you to continue on your own. We will meet at the end of the row to place the last single crochet together. I'm going to speed the video up a bit. If you need to, you can slow it down in settings. We are at the end of the first row. Let's place one last single crochet together. Insert the hook into the back strand of the chain stitch. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, tighten your single crochet. Stretch your work a bit, and so far it should look as follows. After completing the first row, you should have 26 single crochets. Let's count these stitches together. So this is the first single crochet here, okay? This stitch here is the last chain stitch that we made, and because we inserted the hook into the second chain stitch from the hook, we now have one single crochet less in the first row, right? So we start counting our stitches from this single crochet here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Everything checks out. We are ready to move on to the second row. We have to start it with chain 1. Turn the work to the front and to the left. Now we want to place a single crochet into the first stitch from the hook, into this stitch here, okay? So we have a loop on the hook, then here we have a chain stitch, and this is our first stitch from the hook. So insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, tighten your single crochet. Next single crochet goes into the next stitch here. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, tighten your single crochet. And you just have to continue placing one single crochet into each stitch all the way across. When you finish the second row, you should have 26 single crochets. This stitch here is your last stitch into which you have to place a single crochet. I'm going to speed the video up a bit, but I'm not cutting it so you can see the whole process. If you need to, you can always slow it down in settings. We have just finished the second row of single crochets. Your work should look as follows. Let's check the measurements at this point. My work is around 25 centimeters wide and around 2.7 centimeters high/long. Let's crochet one more row of single crochets together. After that, I'll ask you to continue on your own. In total, we need to crochet 31 rows of single crochets. In each row, we should have 26 single crochets. We start each row with chain 1. Then we have to turn the work to the front and to the left. Insert the hook into the first stitch from the hook and place a single crochet in here. Tighten your stitch, single crochet into the next stitch here, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, tighten your stitch. Please continue placing one single crochet into each stitch all the way across the third row. When you finish, you should have 26 single crochets. I'm going to speed the video up a bit, but I'm not cutting it so you can see the whole process, and if you need to, you can always slow it down in settings. We have finished the third row. All we have to do now is to crochet 48 more rows of single crochets to finish the main panel. Please do it on your own. We will meet then and I'll tell you what's the next step. In the middle of the work, I ran out of my first skein of t-shirt yarn, so obviously I had to attach the second skein. I recorded a short instruction on how to join two ends together. You will see it in a minute or so. Hope it will be helpful. One more thing before you get to work, let's check the measurements at this point. My work is around 25.5 centimeters wide and around 3.5 centimeters high / long. I ran out of my first skein of t-shirt yarn. Let's see how many rows of single crochets I have made so far. So this is the first row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45, so almost 45 rows of single crochets without a few single crochets. Let's check the measurements at this point. My work is around 45 centimeters high / long and around 25.5 centimeters wide. Now we want to join both yarn ends together, and we will simply sew them with a straight stitch. If you don't have a sewing machine at home, you can easily do that by hand, so we just want to place one yarn tail inside the other one like this. Now you can pin it so it doesn't move while sewing. And now just sew it with a straight stitch. This is how it looks after sewing. Now we just have to continue placing single crochets across this row. So insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, tighten your single crochet, and make sure to hide the seam so it's not visible. You can help yourself with a needle to push it a bit further. Continue making rows of single crochets until in total you have 51 of them. We have 51 rows of single crochets. Let's check the measurements of the main panel. So it is around 51, almost 51 centimeters high / long, and around 20, almost 26 centimeters wide. Now cut off the rest of the yarn, leaving a longer end. We will be weaving it in along one of the rows of single crochets. Pull the yarn all the way through, thread the needle with the yarn tail, and we want to hide it on the wrong side. And which side is the wrong side? You can differentiate the sides by the last row of single crochets you have made. So this one, when you're holding your panel like this is your right side. Take a look at these braids at the top of single crochets. They are like facing towards you. And when you turn your work, this is your wrong side, okay? And we want to weave in the yarn tail on this side. Insert the needle into this strand here. This is a strand that creates a single crochet, right? Pull the yarn through and tighten it. Arrange this corner a bit. And now weave in the yarn tail along this row of single crochets. You want to insert the needle under these legs of single crochet. I'm going to speed the video up a bit, okay? Now cut off the rest of the yarn tail and stretch the panel a bit. This is how it looks. Now let's take care of the other yarn tail because we want to weave it in as well. In order to do so, we need to untangle this slip knot first. Watch attentively how I'm doing it. First, I want to pull out this yarn tail. I'm gonna help myself with a needle. So pull it all the way through to untangle it. Now we want to pull the yarn tail out of here. Now pull it all the way out from here because we want to create a perfect looking braid at the top of a single crochet. Before we thread the needle with the yarn tail tightened a bit. Now thread the needle. Insert the needle into the same space out of which our thread here comes out. And we want the needle to come out somewhere in here, on the wrong side obviously. Pull the yarn all the way through. Arrange the thread and tighten your stitch. Now that we have a neat looking braid at the top, let's weave in the yarn tail in the same way as the first one. I'm going to speed the video up a bit. So far your work should look as follows. Let's count the number of stitches at the bottom of the main panel. We should have 25 single crochets here, okay? This stitch here is our first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and 26. Everything checks out. Let's check the number of stitches at the top of the main panel. We should have 26 single crochets as well, obviously. This is the first single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and 26. Now let's move on to crocheting the side panels. We want to start with a slip knot. Pinch the yarn with your thumb and your middle finger, insert the hook under the short end. Rotate it this way, grab the working yarn, pull it through the loop that you have on your hook and tighten your slip knot. Now chain 8. Double check if you have 8 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Everything checks out. Now we want to make a row of single crochets in the same way as we've done it with the main panel. So in order to single crochet, insert the hook into the second back strand from the hook. This is the first back strand from the hook. And this is the second back strand from the hook, right? So insert the hook and single crochet. Tighten your stitch a bit and continue placing one single crochet into each back strand all the way across this row. When you finish, you should have 7 single crochets in the first row. I'm going to speed the video up a bit. Remember that if you need to, you can always slow it down in settings. Stretch your work a bit. So far it should look as follows. Check if you have 7 single crochets. This is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's move on to the second row, which is also a row of single crochets. Chain 1. Turn the work to the front and to the left. Single crochet into the first stitch from the hook. So this one here. Insert the hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, tighten your single crochet. Continue placing 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way across this row. When you finish, you should have 7 single crochets. Stretch your work a bit. Let's make 1 more row together, then I'm going to ask you to continue on your own. So chain 1, turn the work to the front and to the left, single crochet into the first stitch from the hook, and then continue placing 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way across. I'm going to speed the video up a bit. When you finish the third row of single crochets, I'm going to ask you to crochet 10 more rows of single crochets on your own. Then I'm going to show you how to attach a D-ring / semicircle. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Continue working on the third row for now. Stretch your work a bit and let's check the measurements at this point. My side panel is around 7.5 centimeters wide and around 3.5 centimeters high / long. Please continue on your own, crochet 10 more rows of single crochets, so in total you need to have 13 rows of single crochets. Now that we have 13 rows of single crochets, let's attach a D-ring, but first let me give you the measurements of the side panel at this point. It is around 7 centimeters wide and around 13.3 centimeters high / long. Let's start our next row of single crochets where we are going to attach a D-ring. So chain 1, turn the work to the front and to the left, single crochet into the first stitch from the hook, tighten your single crochet a bit, single crochet into the next stitch, and now grab a D-ring. Holding the side panel this way, we're going to attach it on this side. When making next 3 single crochets, we also want to insert the hook into the D-ring. So hold it this way and insert the hook into the next stitch and into the D-ring, and single crochet. Tighten your single crochet a bit and make 2 more single crochets this way. Our D-ring is attached, this is how it looks. And now we just want to continue and we want to place 2 more single crochets in this row, right? And now we just want to make 1 more row of single crochets. So this is the 15th row of single crochets. When we are done with it, we're going to weave in both yarn tails. Our side panel is almost ready. Just for the record, we should have 15 rows of single crochets, and in each row we should have 7 single crochets. Now cut off the yarn, leaving a longer end. Pull the yarn tail all the way through, tighten it a bit. Let's weave in both yarn tails in the same way as when we were weaving it in on the main panel. Insert the needle into this strand on the side, pull the yarn through, arrange the corner a bit, and now weave it in along this row of single crochets. Cut off the rest of the yarn, stretch your side panel a bit, and now let's weave in the other yarn tail. First we need to untangle the slip knot, and then we want to create a neat looking braid at the top of the single crochet. So watch attentively and do the same thing on your work. Pull the yarn tail in order to tighten it a bit. Thread the needle and insert it into this space out of which the yarn comes out. Arrange the stitch. And weave in the yarn tail along this row of single crochets. Stretch the side panel a bit. This is how our finished side panel looks. Let's check the measurements. My side panel is around 16 centimeters high / long and around 7 centimeters wide. Please crochet 1 more side panel in the same way, okay? And remember that your side panels have to be identical. Okay, I have 2 side panels. As you can see, they are identical. We will be attaching the side panels to the bottom of the main panel. You can distinguish the bottom by the first row of single crochets. Now I want to explain which stitches of the side panels we need to attach and how many of them we will actually have. This stitch here is our first joining stitch, so that's actually the last single crochet we've made in the last row of single crochets. Next joining stitch will be placed in here, so we will be inserting the hook between these two single crochets. Next joining stitch will be placed in here. When you turn the work to the wrong side, you can see that the hook will come out between two single crochets. Next one goes between these two single crochets, next one in here, and so on until we reach the bottom right corner. This stitch here is our last joining stitch on this side. At the bottom of the side panel we have 7 single crochets, which gives us 7 joining stitches. Moving on to this side, this stitch here is where we'll be placing next joining stitch, so between 2 single crochets. Then into this space here, also between 2 single crochets. Next joining stitch will be placed in here, so also between 2 single crochets, and so on until we reach our very first single crochet in the last row of single crochets, also the top right corner. So this is the stitch into which we will be placing our last joining single crochet. Now that we know where we will be placing our joining stitches, let's count how many of them we will have so that we can mark the first and the last joining stitch on the main panel. Here we will have our first joining stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37. So now we know that we will have 37 joining stitches. I would like us to grab a few stitch markers and to mark corner stitches on the side panels and then the first and the last joining stitch on the main panel. Let's start with the side panels. First stitch marker goes into this stitch here, so our last single crochet at the top of the side panel. Next stitch marker goes into this stitch here, so the first single crochet at the top of the side panel. Next stitch marker goes into this stitch here, so this is the first single crochet at the bottom of the side panel. And our last stitch marker goes into the last single crochet at the bottom of the side panel. Now mark the same corner stitches on the other side panel. Now let's mark the first and the last joining stitch on the main panel, so stitch number 1 and 37. This stitch here will be our first joining stitch, okay? But we will not be inserting the hook into this space. We will be inserting it into this chain stitch. This way it will look more aesthetic than if we were to place the joining single crochet in here. So please insert a stitch marker into this chain stitch on the side of the main panel. And here we are going to place our first joining single crochet. Now we have to mark the 37th stitch We will be counting these spaces where we will be placing single crochets in the same way as on the side panel, okay? We will be placing our joining single crochets between these two single crochets in here, then in here, next one will be placed in here, then in here, between two single crochets, and so on, okay? So let's count these stitches. This is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37. So this is our last joining stitch. Insert a stitch marker into this stitch here. Similarly, we have to mark our first and last joining stitch on the other edge of the main panel. So this stitch here is our first joining stitch. Take a closer look where I am inserting the needle. So it is between two single crochets. Grab a stitch marker and mark this stitch. Now we have to mark stitch number 37. So this is the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and 37. Grab a stitch marker and mark this stitch. So as you can see, our marked stitches are at the same height. Let's attach our side panels. We're going to start with the right side panel and we will be joining our stitches with a single crochet. So insert the hook into the marked stitch on the side panel, remove the stitch marker and insert the hook into the marked stitch on the main panel. Remove the stitch marker. Now yarn on the hook. Make sure that the short end hangs on the right side like this and pull the yarn through. Now that we have a loop on the hook, we can start joining both panels. We have to yarn over with the working yarn, of course. You can hold the yarn end so it's easier for you to crochet. Yarn over, pull through and side a new stitch. Okay, so we have our first joining stitch. For now we're gonna leave the yarn end. We'll take care of that later. We have to insert the hook into the next stitch on the side panel here, so between two single crochets, and into the next stitch on the main panel and here, also between two single crochets. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Now we have to insert the hook into the next stitch on the side panel and into the next stitch on the main panel. And single crochet. You don't want to work too tight in here, okay? We will continue placing one single crochet into each stitch all the way around this side panel. These joining stitches on both side and main panel are the stitches that I have previously showed you, so you shouldn't be confused where to insert the hook. I'm going to speed the video up a bit, but I'm not cutting the footage so you can see the whole process. And if needed, you can slow the video down in settings. We have reached our last joining stitch on the side panel. Remove the stitch marker, insert the hook into the marked stitches and single crochet. This is how our work looks so far. Now, we are not going to cut the yarn and attach the other side panel separately. Actually, we want to continue placing one single crochet into each stitch on this side. Then we will place 3 single crochets into the top right corner. Then we will place 1 single crochet into each stitch at the top of the main panel. After that, 3 single crochets into the top left corner here, and then 1 single crochet into each stitch on this edge of the main panel until we reach the marked stitch here. And then we are going to attach the other side panel in the same way as the first one. Now that you know where and how many single crochets you have to make around the main panel, I would like you to continue making this single crochet border on your own. I'm going to speed the video up a bit, but I'm leaving the footage just in case you need to watch this part of the process. So see you in a bit. Now we just want to attach the other side panel. Remove the stitch marker. Insert the hook into the marked stitch on the side panel. And into the marked stitch on the main panel. And single crochet. Continue placing one single crochet into each stitch around the side panel until you reach previously marked stitches. Now place one last joining single crochet into the marked stitches. It might be a little hard to insert the hook into the marked stitch on the main panel, so you just have to loosen this stitch a bit and probably use a bit of strength here. We have finished attaching our side panels. Now we just have to weave in both yarn tails. But before we weave in yarn ends, we will secure the stitch so it looks neat. So cut off the yarn leaving a longer end, pull the yarn tail all the way through, tighten the stitch a bit, thread the needle with the yarn tail. Now insert the needle into this stitch here, pull the yarn through, tighten it. Now we want to go into this stitch here, pull the yarn through, tighten it, and now let's go into our single crochet in here, okay? Pull the yarn through, tighten it. Now insert the needle into the same stitch here. We want to end up with our yarn tail on the wrong side of the bag. We will be weaving in the yarn tail along this row of single crochets. I'm going to speed the video up a bit, but if you need to, you can slow it down in settings. Cut out the rest of the yarn and stretch your work a bit. Now we have to do a similar thing on the other side. Thread the needle with the yarn tail. Insert the needle into this stitch here. Pull the yarn through, tighten it. Now we want to go into this stitch here. Pull the yarn through, tighten it. Okay, and now I would like us to insert the needle into this stitch in here, okay? If we inserted the needle in here, our joining stitch looks better. Tighten it a bit, and now let's go into this stitch here. Pull the yarn through, tighten it. And now into this stitch here, we want to end up on the wrong side of the bag. Let's weave in the yarn tail along this row of single crochets. I'm going to speed the video up. If you need to, you can slow it down in settings. cut off the rest of the yarn, and stretch your bag a bit. Take a look at how my bag looks after attaching both side panels. Now all we have to do is to sew on magnetic fasteners. I like to start with the upper fastener. At the later stage, it's easier for me to establish where should I sew on the lower part of the set. Upholstery needles are my favorites when it comes to sewing on fasteners or sewing in the lining. I also recommend to use a transparent sewing thread. This one is 0.3 millimeters. So thread the needle, tie a few knots to secure thread ends. I'm going to start with this one. I always try my best to sew it on so it looks as neat as possible, but a fair warning here, I am no professional tailor. First I have to secure the end of my thread by inserting the needle somewhere in here, preferably under the fastener so it's not visible. Now I'll just go into each eyelet one by one. Usually I tie, like I insert the needle into the panel and then into the eyelet 3, maybe 4 times, and then I move on to the next eyelet. I always try to be careful when I look for the spaces where I insert the needle on the panel. If possible, I wrap the thread around a leg/strand of the single crochet like this, and I repeat it 3 to 4 times. After attaching the eyelet, I have to move on to the next one, and here I also try to not insert the needle into the yarn, but underneath single crochet's legs. So, I'm going to leave the footage on the whole part of attaching the fastener. I hope you'll find it helpful. After we finish sewing this fastener on, please go ahead and sew on the other upper fastener. Make sure that they are at the same height, and also check if the distance to the side and the top of the main panel is identical when it comes to both fasteners. We have finished sewing on the fastener. Now let's just secure the end, then cut up the rest of the thread and tie a few knots. Cut the remaining thread and hide these knots underneath. This is how it looks so far. Now sew on the other upper fastener. When you finish, I'll show you how to sew on the lower fastener. I have sewn on both upper fasteners. Let me show you how to attach the lower ones. To find the space where the fastener should be sewn on, I simply close the flap and check where the upper part lands. That's it. Before you start sewing it on, double check if you found the right place. Make sure that when you close the flap, it is in one line with the lower part of the back here. When sewing on the lower part of the fastener, I insert the needle on the wrong side, so it comes out on the right side, and I move it so it's at the same height as the eyelet. Then I attach it in the exact same way as the upper fastener. I'm going to speed the video, but I'm not cutting it, so you can see the whole part of sewing on the lower part of the fastener. If needed, you can slow the video down in settings. I really do hope you will find it helpful somehow. When you finish sewing on this fastener, do the same thing with the other one. This is how it looks. Now sew on the other fastener. Make sure that both are at the same height. Both of my lower fasteners are sewn on. This is how it looks. Let me give you the measurements of the finished bag. It is around 28 centimeters wide. On the side it is more or less 7 centimeters wide. Including the flap, it is 7.5 centimeters wide. And when it comes to the height, it is more or less 17.5 centimeters high / long. Okay, that would be it. I'm going to upload the part on how to make this cute braided strap in a few days, so stay tuned. If you want to, you can crochet yourself a classic strap that also goes well with this bag. I'm going to link the video tutorial in the box below, or you can find it on my channel. I do hope you enjoyed watching this video tutorial. If so, please let me know in the comments. I always appreciate feedback from you guys. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you stay notified when new video tutorials come up. See you in the next video. Bye!